Up, we are live. And I really do need to I need to download an intro because I think that'd be really cool. Also, I hate this wig. Look, I wore the wig. See everybody? Yay.
I grew mine. Ow. Can we edit that out? Oh, I'm hearing myself.
Okay, this hat is sucking with that.
Oh, I see that was on there.
Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Let's see.
Why am I typing in chat?
Oh, that's not.
Oh, hi there.
That hat's not going to work. You know what? I'm going to go with the relaxed hat. There we go. I was actually starting to think these didn't exist in the time period, and then I found a whole bunch of images, and I feel kind of stupid. All right.
Oh,
introduce yourself.
Right, I'm Captain Zander Black of the Cadaverous Dog, everyone's favorite drunken idiot. For some reason, historians with degrees put up with me. I don't know why.
Where are you from?
I am from London, England. I've recently gotten into the pirate festival scene. There's not really much that I can find by way of serious reenactment, but I'm hoping to fix that.
What's funny is over here in the States, we have a lot of areas where pirates actually were. But nearly all of our research we have to do from .uk sites.
Interesting. Maybe it's because most of them were from the UK.
And also, you guys kept the documents a little bit better than we did.
Maybe.
So what got you into pirates?
Well, seeing pirate stuff when I was 5, reading Treasure Island when I was a kid. It was my granddad. It was like, watch this. These are pirates. They're great. He wasn't lying. And then I got into a little bit of history, national history, Lord Nelson, the Victory, Trafalgar, the Battle of the Nile, all of that stuff. But obviously the 1800s isn't too different apart from fashion changes, but ships generally haven't changed that much.
I mean, until steam power.
Yeah. Unlike the jump from the 1600s and 1700s, ships drastically changed. And then, but yeah, I've just always liked that kind of lifestyle of just, it's very present, if you know what I mean. Even my cooking these days, I'll just do the meat in the oven and I throw everything, onions, potatoes, vegetables in one pot. And I just boil that on a medium-low heat for an hour when the meat cooks and then bam. It's very 1700s, but it works.
Got to get that heat lower. You got to start when I cook pirate in the oven, I'm always starting 4 to 6 hours before I need it. Go lower the heat and spices.
Send me some. Send me a list of stuff. Yeah.
That's one thing that I mean, I will joke about your cooking over there being completely bland. But the thing is, a lot of early English early 1700s, it's oh my gosh, we have easier access to spices. Let's put them all in.
Yep.
And go ahead.
That's why I think some Brits absolutely love spice, and others, like me, die upon consuming one single grain of pepper. So I think it's what you were used to, where the family was stationed, possibly, and maybe there's some background into it. I don't. Maybe I'm just talking bollocks. And
I forget who it was. I forget which chef it was. For some reason, I think it was Gordon Ramsay. Was saying that curry is now the English dish,
national dish. Yeah, I think it's tikka masala.
And it's strange.
Not mine.
I love a lot of the spices that come from Southern Asia. I love them. I love the spices themselves. I love. I don't like a lot of the recipes. I don't know why. It's just the flavor profile just it's not my thing.
If it's not hot, I can do spice. So like cinnamon is all right. Whatever they put in korma and masalas, if they're not too like hot, I do enjoy flavor. I just don't enjoy burning my mouth.
Have you tried using allspice?
Allspice.
I don't know if you guys call it anything different over there. I know one of the older names for it was Jamaica pepper.
I'll get some.
But that we use a lot in like sweets and pastries and things like that. For those of you familiar with pumpkin spice flavor, that's a good chunk of the pumpkin spice flavor.
Okay.
But if you use it with salt and things like that, it gets a savory profile. It's got a spice to it, but it doesn't kick you.
That sounds just the kind of thing I like. All right, I will look that up. Allspice.
See, it's turning into a good educational video here. So, what are your favorite parts of the pirate community that you've encountered so far?
Oh, I can show you that. I think is it this? Yeah.
Oh yeah, and for those curious, we have now figured out how to put pictures up.
This is definitely my favorite part of the pirate community.
All right. And
that sums it up. Getting drunk with my friends, being silly pirates, just the banter and the little rivalries that go on.
Yep, Jamaican jerk right there. That's another one I've heard with it.
And save the one where we're pointing guns at each other over the table. That's a shame. But this one. This one's a good one to illustrate.
Oh my gosh, really? It's going to make me scroll down. Boom.
Just acting silly with your friends is what it's all about. Being too drunk to walk. As you can see, Captain Charlie Cygnus is struggling. I am 5'4", average height of the period. Very skinny, but for some reason I weigh like 3 times as much as I should do. Don't know why. But yeah, no, it's great. You meet a lot of great people at Pirate Fest. You can just go up to people and just, make up some stupid thing on the spot. Like, I recognize you. You robbed from my sea chest on my ship. You jumped over the side. We shot at you. You escaped. Whatever. You just come up with stupid shit, and people like just bounce off you, and it's good.
It's strange. We have some of that over here, but not like. I feel like because we have such a long coastline, like we don't have the same kind of get-togethers like you guys do over there. You guys are a lot smaller than us.
That's true. There's a lot of pirate festivals. Whitby is my one that I go to, and I travel all the way up from London for that. But there's loads. Brixton is apparently the biggest one, and that one gets a lot of acclaim. But there's loads. Conway, Hastings, which is a lot closer to me. There's a lot. But yeah, you just go, get drunk, be pirates, and pose for cool pics like that.
What ship is that?
That is the Endeavour replica in Whitby. They've done a good job of it. I mean, the outside hull, it's a metal barge. It's built on a barge. But the interior is really nice. They've like properly, braced it with wood, and you forget how the exterior looks. I'm not gonna run it down too much. It does look nice. It is a pretty ship, but it is not made of wood. But when you're inside, you don't notice that. It's nice. I think I've got one of the interior. Let me see.
Ooh.
Do I? No, I don't. Well, look up the Endeavour. Oh, wait, yeah, there we go. That's the captain's cabin on the Endeavour.
Oh, wow, that is nice.
Yeah, it's nice inside. That's my friend Trevor. He runs the East India Company Reenactment group, which we'll probably get to in a minute. Like I said,
I have it written down right here. Okay, we covered that one. I'm
what's
just
a nice segue into it?
yeah, but let's talk about it.
Yeah. So the East India Company are serious reenactors. They mainly do 1800s era EIC, but they are looking to doing 1700s, and they're working on getting kit currently. They want me to rep the 1700s because of the hair and everything, and I'm like, yeah, I can do that. And what they do is they do anything from setting up camp and actually doing camp life, period cooking, which you do as well, interacting with crowds and setting up displays. So it depends on the event. So say if it was in a town hall, they'd have a display set up. If it was a town hall with a green and maybe there was other stuff going on, then they might have a camp as well. And you can walk around, talk to people, look at the equipment, and just get a feel of how it would be being on deployment in the EIC. There's a bunch of pictures here.
Here we go.
Yeah, their 1800s kit isn't too bad. The drummer boy, Evan, is awesome. He really gets into it. And I have actually recruited him as a midshipman on the Cadaverous Dog, but they don't know that yet. I armed him with a pistol at the Valentine's Ball, and he was backing me up with any pirates that were getting a bit, challenging. It's my goal to recruit all of them to my pirate crew and then just form them just be like, Lieutenant Gray. He'd be like, yes. I'd be like, right, squad, form, company, form line, present. He'd be like, what are you doing? I'd be like, I recruited them all to the Cadaverous Dog. Now my Marines now. They said
man, game. Which one of us is becoming Long John Silver?
Probably me. I've got scoliosis as it is. I can have a walking stick. Ow. I know it's not the correct period one, but close enough. Yeah.
The man recruiting the child.
I want to get the T-shaped one. I usually use this. If I can get the glare off of it. That's a nice little. I got it on Amazon.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's like 20 quid. It's pretty solid as well. Got a good weight to it. Okay, let me see if I can throw some more EIC picks up. There's some good ones here. So let me find a good one of them in camp. That's a good one.
My daughter actually made me rewatch all of my videos on the East India Company today.
Really? I like they've got the single whip brazier and not the double, because some people use a double one, but the single one is the proper one. That's the sort of displays they set up. And you can go and talk to them and ask them things. But I think the living history camp life is what I'm looking forwards to.
Come on. Scroll down here. Oh my gosh.
I have a nice. There we go. This one. I love this picture. So this is the general and Lieutenant Gray just chilling with cigars with the flag and all. I love the hat. That guy's hat is amazing.
So that's the greatest part about the 1800s. You get to wear straw hats.
And then, of course, there's the. Well, I'll let it speak for itself. Looking forward to getting involved with this. And I suppose we can see me as a red coat. I look like a child. Because I shaved. To join the regiment, I had to shave, and I looked like a 12-year-old boy. In fact, I think I have a picture with the 12-year-old boy standing next to me for comparison. No, didn't save that one. Anyway, but yeah, that's the EIC. They do, various events. They're family friendly. They do they do party games as well. So they'll do like Pirates versus Redcoats. They'll do treasure hunts. They'll do kids drill with wooden muskets, things like that. I want to get some foam swords so we can teach them cutlass drill. And I'm thinking of improving the muskets. Basically, party popper in the end, string going down it, fixed up to a trigger mechanism. You get one shot.
I was about to say, I do know there's a company over there that makes really nice, like historically accurate Nerf guns, but I think they only ship EU, and you guys left the EU.
Yeah, we did. I'll figure something out. I'm sure I can, because I had a little pistol once. You put a party popper in the end, you hooked it on, and it went bang. So I'm sure I can do that, just longer.
I know a couple of the people that in my little Phil, I feel like somebody had one for a while, and I think they stopped doing it. I feel like there was a list for a while.
Well, I'm just personally gonna get some real flintlocks, but for the kids, I think, just wooden musket, some sort of trigger mechanism, string, and then you just tie it to a party popper and just manually load it, hand it to them.
Oh, okay.
So the hydraulics on this chair are broken. You have to rotate it until it eventually stops doing it. Otherwise, it just goes. It's very annoying.
I know for those of you on Facebook, Axel Boy, he does a lot of the 17th century clothing and stuff that, like, the stuff that I sometimes ask him, okay, what'd you do to do this?
Nice.
I know he just did up a whole bunch of kids muskets for doing drill for, I believe, English Civil War.
All right.
Because of course we do that over here too.
I think there's a picture. There we go. There's a picture of the kids' musket drill. Oh, I can only do 10 at a time, so I have to remove.
I got it.
I see.
Well, sweet. You can do it on your end too. I don't have to worry about it.
That's interesting. So here's the sort of muskets that they do. They're just solid wooden things. They don't do anything special. But yeah, no, I think rigging them up to house a party popper in the end, and then just figuring out how I can connect the string to a trigger, and then as you pull the trigger, it'll pull the string, go pop, and that'll be fun. You can do a little volley with them.
You trust British children a lot more than I trust American ones.
Well, I mean, I don't think they can do much damage with a party popper. I think I'm more of a threat to the EIC, considering when I joined, So the story we did at the last Pirate Festival was I hit one of their ships and then fled to the Caribbean, laundered some of the money, sold the cargo, and then bought some legitimate cargo with the laundered money to then sail back to England and sell to launder the money further. So they got wind that I was in Whitby, but didn't really know what I looked like or have any other information other than Zander Black is in Whitby, and they're trying to find out who I am. So that is why I shaved and joined their regiment to avoid capture. And then at some point in the night, I took the red coat off and I turned it inside out and then left. That was the last thing they saw. So they're not too happy about that.
The thing is, money laundering was a very big thing in this time period.
Well, yeah. That's my escape plan. If I ever get taken to, Wapping, which is going to happen. They have plans to do a little London tour. If I've bought loads of shares in their company with legitimate money under, Zander Black is a name. The original name of the character is Alexander Joseph Alcott, and then he changes it, shortens Alexander to Zander, and then Black because Blackbeard, Black Sam Bellamy. It's the color of death and fear and badass. He buys shares under his real name, and then he goes to verify this. Just ask the Admiralty. They really want to know what happened to HMS Belligerent. He stole his own ship. He was a Navy captain, stole his own ship. Reason being is his mother died in childbirth. His father hated him, forced him into the Navy when he was 11. And his whole life, he's had people telling him what to do. So he just had a mental breakdown in his 30s when he got his captaincy and was like, I'm doing what I want. Screw it. I'm doing what I want. I'm taking the ship. Who's with me? 2/3 of the crew, being impressed men, were like, and thus a career of piracy was born.
Frogman's actually got a good question for you.
Okay.
How do you make your story?
I've been working on it. You mean with the East India Company or my personal backstory? Because mine I started it when I was 16. And it sucked, obviously, because I was 16. And then as an adult, I've started getting back into my research and doing things properly rather than Jack Sparrowing it, shall we say. Because that served me well in my teens. It was fun. But I want to put something together that's really solid historical fiction. But I like the idea of, he's always been ex-Navy. So I have a frigate. Just really the whole reason of that, so I could justify having a 28-gun frigate. But now I'm like, right, I need to make it actually logically make sense. So that's what I'm doing.
So you mentioned Wapping.
Yeah.
What all cool sites do you have around you?
Me personally in London, well, some are further afield. I mean, HMS Victory in Portsmouth. And the Warrior's a nice ship, but a bit too modern for me. Victory's nice. I mean, that's as close as I can get to my era. I mean, I love the 1700s. She was launched in 1765, for anyone that doesn't know. And it's great to just step onto that ship and see, just ship. Even if the deck is kind of like a fun house at the minute because the British government didn't take care of her properly.
That's why the USS Constitution will always pick on the on the HMS Victory.
I mean, you left her in the water. She's designed, the weight distribution that's how it's meant to be. Victory, they stuck her on tiny wooden, supports, and she's just been bearing down on them. Think balloon, claw hand, press. She's bulged all around it. The planks are starting to split. It rains a lot here, so the rain has got in between the plants. And now they're warping. I cried 3 times when I visited it last. I'm not joking. I seriously did. I teared up. I was walking around patting it, going, "Poor girl." And the other tourists are like, but I didn't care. Yeah, that was a fun day. What time period? I'm going for Golden Age of Pirate. Oh, late Golden Age. So 1718 through 1720 when it's on the decline. I wanted to do something different with my pirate. Most pirate media and backstories are like, I want to be the most badass, famous pirate ever. Everyone's going to know my name. Captain Black's different. He's like, I want to be under the radar, keep as low a profile as possible. They do all sorts of things for the cadaverous dog, such as having sow canvas stitched together and painted to look like wood, and they nail that over the side to hide the gun ports. Come on, Danny, give me that one. That one's good.
That one's good. There was attempts made to either look like you had no guns or had a lot more. So
they'll see the ones on the weather deck. And I'll be like, oh yeah, she's got a few guns on the weather deck. To obviously, merchant ships did have cannon, but the main gun deck with the 12-pounder longs is hidden, and then they just pull canvas up, rip it up, and run them out. And at that point, it's like, oh. It's not a lightly armed merchant ship. It is, in fact, a 28-gun frigate. Even if it does slightly list to port and the main mast kind of goes to the right a little bit, it's still the dock.
Ooh, King Edward has actually that was actually going to be one of my questions, but you
Favorite
go ahead.
pirate from the UK? Uh, I mean, I mean, I quite like Black Sam Bellamy. I'm like him in that I wouldn't torture people for no reason. If someone surrenders and gives me their cargo and I don't want their ship, they can go. Like the unnecessary suffering of the individual, I'm not about that. It's not personal, you know. So yeah, I like Black Sam Bellamy. He was great.
Ooh, Arvin's got some good ones right there.
Definitely go and see HMS Victory. She's still there, even if she is a bit wibbly wobbly. It's still a great ship. Chatham Dockyard, where Victory was built, is another good one. That's fun because there's different time periods in the dockyard. So they've got this railway that goes through, which I forget what year it was installed, but I know they used it in the war. They have like a little diesel shunter that they used. They have the loft, the attic, where they used to sketch out the framework in chalk and then make their prototype cuts. That's still there. That's original. The dry dock that Victory was built in is still there. So yeah, Chatham, Portsmouth. There's the Golden Hind replica in London. Greenwich. Go to Greenwich. Go to the Maritime Museum. See Lord Nelson's uniform that he was shot in.
Which is having a pirate exhibit too, which wish I could get over there.
Well, I will take pictures. I'm going to go at some point.
You guys have the Old Bailey.
We do. We have the. I'll let you do the one. The Light Waterman Guild
Well,
that I plan on visiting.
I want to do the Old Bailey first because that one's like that's literally where most of the trials would occur. Now, the annoying thing is admiralty courts were different than normal courts. So if you go onto the Old Bailey website and look up, try to find pirate trials, you're not going to find any. If you want to look up just regular crimes, you'll find like I think they go back to I want to say the 1660s. They have all the online references. And then the Old Bailey itself, they have tours. It's still an active court, isn't it?
The Old Bailey, I think so.
So I mean, you can't just go explore because you might end up walking on somebody's trial.
They probably do tours.
You mentioned Wapping. Isn't there they still have like a replica gallows there, right?
Yeah, it's outside the Prospect of Whitby, which is at the pub that Judge Jeffreys used to sit on the balcony and have, beer and wine and food and watch the executions. Great way to spend an afternoon. I mean, most of London were like that. There's an execution. That was their entertainment. It was very morbid.
Oh, I'm trying to figure out. Remember, I found a random coffee shop that was, I even forget where it was at, that the building itself is still there. It's near one of the churches, which there's a lot of churches.
Yeah, there's a lot of churches, yes. At least we have the nice Gothic architecture. The ones in America are just wood. It's a little wooden thing for roof and a cross on top. Ours, you've got
hey, no, we have some like St. Paul's National Historic Site up in New York. That one it's an old stone church that's been there since we had our little disagreement over leadership. Oh, let me think. I'm trying to think of other. So the bargemen and watermen, the lightermen and watermen guild. That is actually. So where did I? One second. Where did I? Huzzah! There it is. When I was doing the research on this style of hat, hang on, there we go. That's actually one of the places I found out that they were still using a very similar design of cap. Now it looks like a jockey cap, but it evolved from this style, which is what sailors would have been wearing in our time period. The watermen and lightermen the lighter was actually basically a barge. When I first read, I'm like, did it light lamps or something? No, it was like a barge that you'd use across the Thames. Watermen were the people that would operate the boats, help them get into port, help unload, things like that. They actually have a guild, and this guild's been around since, oh my gosh, do you know the date offhand?
I don't. I didn't even know it was there. You mentioned it.
I'm one of those people. Like if you ever want to know random places to explore in cities, even ones I haven't been to, I can find them for you.
Company of Watermen and Lightermen. Doesn't say.
Okay, that's I have my phone over there. I'm not even bothering.
Thames Waterman Act 1540, at least since 1514.
There you go. And if I remember correctly, they were two separate companies, and then they joined them together. I want to say mid 1700s, but I'm probably wrong. Newgate. Is anything with Newgate still around?
I think Newgate's still there. I'll look that up. I think. Apparently, it was demolished in 1904.
Ah, that sucks. I know the Tyburn, where the Tyburn tree was, there's a plaque. Like in the ground itself. Like I don't think the Tyburn tree isn't there anymore.
The site is you can
yeah.
go to Tyburn. Tower of London. That was around in the 1700s. I mean, that dates way back. I think it's nearly 1,000 years old. It's in the latter half of the 900s. It's nearly.
I know, like some of the surrounding area is Roman, if I remember correctly. So even further than that.
The tower itself was built by William the Conqueror as his seat of power after he took London. He died before it was finished. I used to know exactly when it was finished. But anyway, it was around in the 1700s. So I actually plan on going to the tower and doing a video specifically on the 1700s and 1800s periods of history there, because everyone just concentrates on the medieval side of it. King Henry VIII, a lot of political prisoners were executed.
You really need to do something like that with your channel. Oh yeah, Zander has a YouTube channel. Forgot to plug that.
Yeah, I need to. I haven't even done hey, this is what I did at Whitby Pirate Festival, and that was in August. And then the last one I did was in February, so I really need to update.
You have a lot of sites over there where I'm just like, oh man, if I'd go there again.
Well, if you ever visit, let me know. I know a bunch of crazies that live down south as well as up north that will go out in kit and will just swarm around as a group of pirates. Basically, Pirate Festival. As you said, what's the best thing about Pirate Festival? There you go. That's it in a nutshell. Just that essence of we're pirates.
Are there any bars from the 16 and 1700s left in London?
Yes, there's the Prospect of Whitby, and I think there's a few others, but I would have to Google that. But there are a few others around.
That's another one I figured people would want to know.
Got to give a shout out to Rum Tavern. Really expensive drinks. It's like 15 quid a drink in there for a cocktail, but the cocktails are nice, and they have styled it nice in there. That's another one to visit if you like cocktail bars, but it's not, This is in Rum Tavern in the VIP area at the back.
Oh yeah, I saw those pictures.
And there's one of me and my friend Johnny. Shout out to Johnny Hart, very good friend of mine. One of the few people from the London rock scene that still, puts up with me. I don't know why he puts up with me for so long.
There we go.
Must be shared insanity, but yeah. So yeah, Rum Tavern, they've got planking and they've got the knee braces and everything, and they have grating as well that light comes through. It's really good.
Phil put your link in the chat.
Thank you, appreciate that.
There's another site in London that I know is there, and it's bugging me because I remember researching it for something, and I can't remember what it was. It'll come to me eventually. Ooh, is there anything left of the East India Company, like compound area?
I think there's still they sell gin now. Apparently, East India Company gin. That's still around. That's still there. And the EIC are planning on going to visit in full kit, and they're going to ask, "Hey, will you sponsor us?" So that's on the card. So that will be cool. I'll let you know what happens with that. But that is around. And if they do get the sponsorship, then they'll sell the gin at the events they do, and I will sample it to check it for poison. That's my job that I always myself in.
It's actually just the other week there was a conference over in, I forget which college, and I feel really bad. I'll tell you, it was the guy who actually curates the Old Bailey website. So he was even mentioning about how there was actually it was a practice at the East India Docks that if there was like anything, like any tea, any sugar, anything that fell out on the bottom, if you were working to unload it, you could take it home with you. And then around the turn of the century, like 1700s to 1800s, they put up a wall and started having tight security that you couldn't do that anymore.
I know the lightermen and watermen used to do that too. If a coal barge or something went over, they would go along. They were the first dredgers on the river. They would chuck a net over and then just row along, and whatever they picked up, they would go and sell it. Like mudlarking with extra steps.
I mean, it's still a licensed thing over there.
Yeah. And bodies as well. If they pulled bodies out, they would obviously go through all the pockets of the body, and then they would turn it into the constabulary. We found a body, and then there's a finder's fee. Makes you wonder if they put any in there themselves. Found the body. About 3 seconds after I strangled him, but found the body. Give me finder's fee. Yeah, all sorts of fun things went on during, around the river.
The Old Bailey website's another good one for just looking up just the random crimes.
Oh, I'm sure there's some fun tales.
Oh,
you see, I'm more interested in. I need to look up some, but like the stupid crimes. Like the dumbass, like why? This serves no benefit to anyone. Like if you're hungry and stealing bread or meat from a butcher's shop because your family's starving, that I get. But people are just like, I don't know, steal a feather pillow. And then they get off with a warning and then they go do it again. Dumb stuff like that. I love it.
There was a kid, I forget how old he was. His father gave him money. He took the money. I think he bought booze or something, or he might have bought a gun. I forget which. I mean, there's a big difference between those two things, but he ended up then robbing somebody, stealing more stuff, then I guess tried to rob his dad or something. And yeah, I think that was about 1680 something. It was in the 1680s. Pirate ship. Are there any pirate ships around? Well, replicas, of course.
There's no pirate ship replicas. I mean, there's there's the Gothenburg. Everyone knows that one. There's that Spanish galleon that does tours. The closest thing we have to a pirate ship in London, and if you're Spanish, you will absolutely swear that it is a pirate ship, is the Golden Hind replica. If you're English, it's a national hero ship. If you're Spanish, it's a pirate ship. Take your pick.
Ooh,
I drink Pusser's Navy rum, which is the same recipe served on all British ships dating back to 1655.
And I'll tell you now, if you are not used to it, do not try to drink it straight.
Or just do what just dive in. You'll get used to it. You can get that experience of you've been press ganged or you've joined the Navy as a volunteer. You've just been given your first rum ration. Welcome to the Navy. Just dunk down half a pint of it in one go. Even I can't do that. I have a very small stomach, so I have to sip, but it's a really good rum. Don't mix it with anything. The only thing you should add to passes is more passes.
I mean, or you could do the proper Navy thing and what is it? 3 parts water to 1 part rum, lime juice, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of nutmeg. I mean, that's an EIC recipe if I remember correctly.
My friend did that at the last Pirate Festival. He did make grog. I don't think we had any nutmeg, but he did put lime in it.
If you I'll tell you now, if you make a proper punch, it will sneak up on you. You'll be like, oh, this is water. This is fine. This is fine. And then next thing you know, you're naked and it's bad.
Send me a recipe. I will make a pirate punch. I'll give you a shout out as well. And I will.
I have a short somewhere here on the channel.
Right. There we go. I will go look that up and then I'll make it and I'll record the endeavor. Yeah, Cutty Sark is more it's like going into the Victorian era almost. It's like at the very end of the Age of Sail. Beautiful ship. That's when ships were like at their peak for like speed and yeah, they were. That's hydrodynamics. I mean, yeah, she was built for speed. I'm just hoping that someone opens it. There are Cutty Sark pubs. But if someone opposite opens like Thermopylae, the rival of the Cutty Sark, basically. It's a really hard name to say. Thermopylae?
Thermopylae.
There we
go. But of course, that could just be my American. Just remember that.
Well, that one. It'd be good to have 2 rival pubs.
Now I'm starting to wonder if in Hampton Roads if there's a Monitor and a Virginia.
There's not. You can.
I'll open up 2 bars and cross straight from each other, pretend they're not related.
You've got to clad them. You got to actually ironclad them, or at least paint them so they look like they're ironclad.
Now the Monitor is actually one shipwreck, like where they have. I saw the turret not long after they pulled it out. They had it on display. I got to check that out before. That was. I feel bad. I've not seen we have so many shipwrecks, but there's not much left of them over here.
We have a question in the chat.
Out of all.
So, out of all of the UK pirates throughout history, who do you think would have won in a 1-1 against the other pirates? Blackbeard won versus all of them.
Well, let's pause on that one. Do you mean do you mean ship versus ship or man versus man? Because I have 2 different answers for that. I actually got to think about this for a second.
I'd say Blackbeard in hand-to-hand combat, Bartholomew Roberts in sea combat.
Every in sea combat, Morgan in hand-to-hand. Unless Blackbeard was a privateer. That is the one caveat I will give.
Depends what ship he's using. If he's using the Queen Anne's Revenge, we're talking even ships here, or just like what they use? Because that would be
every wins.
I was going to say that would be the Fancy was more heavily armed, but that would be a good fight. The Fancy versus the Queen Anne's Revenge, that would be a good sea battle.
Now you got to remember, we also got to keep the crews, because with the fancy, you'd have buccaneers among the crew. So Queen Anne's Revenge, they could have fired off all the guns, and they'd still have to worry about the buccaneers actually being able to hit targets.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I said on the last stream, I do feel like the late Golden Age pirates were like crackheads trying to steal catalytic converters.
Pretty much. Pretty much. I mean, that's what I'm setting, as I said, my story, and so that's going to be quite fun to figure out. I think during the dying days, I've actually got that figured out. I go back east. So a lot of them did. Some stopped off at Madagascar, which was once again becoming a pirate stronghold, but a lot of them went into the Indian Ocean and started bothering the EIC. I think that's probably what caused them to be stamped out. A lot of people don't know this, but the EIC had 3 times as many soldiers than King George, and I think they had a bigger navy. So if they wanted something done, they got something done.
Plus, they had a lot of local troops with them as well.
And they did. Nana says, "Don't blame me. They were pissed off when I got there. I just joined in."
Which actually, we were talking about the uniforms the other week, and I've been doing more research on it, and I keep finding that basically it was just about every region in India had their own facings.
So then mine could be. See, I was got the uniform that I had. We kind of just did it as a test run, and it was like, yeah, it needs to be improved upon. But the fluff.
Put the picture back up. Put the picture back up.
I'll put the picture back up.
We have the picture. We need to show everybody.
There we go.
There we go. Oh, come on. There we go.
Yeah, so that looks like sort of coming out of the really early 1700s, of the Jacobean period, going into the 1700s, golden age of piracy, so like 1710, 1715, 1720. It's sort of like a weird sort of balance in the line. That's what we were going for.
About the 1740s, you start to get a lot nicer of a oh my god, like a lapel area.
The double pin back.
Yeah,
They're nice. Yeah,
is some of like your oh my gosh, why did my brain just go out? Like some of your 1740s rising uniforms, those you start seeing in India. Somebody, I believe, with the Royal Armory has a whole blog on it, because they were doing East India Company from about 1740s up into the 1750s, and that's what they were looking at.
Nice.
But early on, of course, you have, I mean, pretty much not far off from what I'm wearing. It was a lot simpler, but there was still the cuff facings and things like that. And that's something was starting to notice, like there's definitely a lot more variety.
Trevor did say that, to be fair. He did say, and he said no one really knows what they look like because there were so many uniforms mixed in. And on top of that, you got veterans leaving King George's army and joining the EIC because they had better equipment and better pay. So if you were a volunteer, once your tour was up, your obligation was done. If you didn't retire from military life entirely and you wanted to carry on soldiering, join the EIC.
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He was one of the directors over in India in the 17th century. He ended up marrying an Armenian Christian. Then he ran off and just left her there. Then she married a captain for the EIC. And then he died, so she was trying to get widow's payment from the EIC pretty much up until the day she died. She was like writing them letters.
Wow. They really didn't give two shits about women. It's like Emma Hamilton. Nelson died. He's like, right, I've done all this great stuff for you. I have one request. Please look after Emma Hamilton and my daughter. Did they fuck?
Ooh, do you think Henry Every joined the Jacobite rebellion during his time in hiding?
I'll throw
I
my
don't.
2 cents in quick because Danny studies Every extensively, and I'd say no personally, because if he's retired and keeping a low profile, that would, especially if you're quite well known, someone's bound to recognize you. So I'd say no personally.
I try not to give spoilers on things. I am very strongly considering doing a book on Every because I've been getting annoyed at all the books that have come out so far. Because they always end up missing at least one thing that it's like, we should have had this. I want to do a little bit more research before I give my full answer. I agree. I think he more than likely was keeping a low profile. But is it possible he might have helped out? If he saw a chance of there being a win, I think he might have. That said, he probably was okay with King George compared to considering it was under William and technically the Stuarts, if you count Mary and then Anne. He probably wouldn't want them back.
Probably.
There was a book that recently came out, and I am not going to give the name of it. I am not going to bash the author, but he was trying to propose that Every was actually a spy for King George.
Was that posted on a certain Facebook group?
Uh,
Some of the posts on there.
oh, actually, I have a question here. What are your least favorite parts of the pirate community?
Captain Dunning-Kruger's. They come along and they say something and it's not quite correct, and you're wrong there, and you're just discussing history because it's fun, right? And then they take it so personally, like you've kicked their dog and cut out the eyes of their firstborn child, and it goes from there.
I'm just waiting for Matt McLean to pop here in the comments because he's another one that pops on. That's not what happened. What do you
mean? It the other
mean?
day. Some woman posted a picture of it. Was basically a barge, and it was like on the Sacramento River, and I was like, ugh, what an ugly piece of crap. Probably built on a barge or something. That's my opinion of the ship. And she gets offended on the guy's behalf, and I'm like, she's like, what do you know about ships? What ships have you built? I'm like, I haven't built any, but I've been to Chatham Royal Dockyard. I've visited the Victory several times and seen examples of, 1700 shipbuilding, which didn't really change much from the 1500s. I posted a video that a guy made on the Golden Hind and how it was built. And she was like, oh, YouTube isn't the go-to source for everything. I'm like, yeah, but the guy's done his research and listed his sources, and it's correct if you know anything about shipbuilding.
That is something like when I first got in, like way back when I was in college. Oh my God, it's heading on 20 years ago. That's terrible. I remember the big thing was like, don't use Wikipedia, don't use YouTube. Well, now it's gotten to the point people don't even they don't use anything. They will use what they just thought.
What they see on Facebook.
And luckily now, like, we've got people like Golden Gunpowder. I'm trying to think who else has some really good factual pirate stuff other than me.
Golden Gunpowder is another YouTube channel you should check out, by the way.
Yeah, hopefully everybody here knows who Golden Gunpowder is. I've been on there enough. But there's a lot of great educational stuff here on YouTube now. And I know you guys are having a lot of cuts with your humanities programs because I talked to some of the professors that actually teach over there. And a lot of them are coming to YouTube. And it's great because we're actually getting to the point where, in many ways, we've pretty much replaced the History Channel, thank God.
Oh, Ancient Aliens, was that History Channel?
Yep, that's
There
like
you
I
go. Pirates were aliens. Where did Henry ever go? Aliens.
uh those can you would I try to get rid of those posts before they do not cause any issues. I've had so many people I've had to remove in the last 2 months with I'm telling you now, it's not the aliens. It's what aliens tends to be the word for.
Uh,
Yeah, those types of people have started appearing
oh,
on.
the pirate group.
Yeah, and it's like, guys, what are you doing? You're in public. Like, people see this. Do you not think the admins are here?
Wow.
Actually, funny for the group here.
Without making it
Zander and I actually started talking over fight over AI.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. You want to say how we met? Because it is a funny story.
You start.
Right. So there's a group called Pirates of the Seas, and it was just chock full of badly generated AI images of ships with like three masts, and then there'll be a yard arm behind the mast instead of in front of it where it should be, and a random mast coming off of the yard arm, random weird ropes everywhere, piles of crap on the deck, and then like the actual shape of the ship wouldn't be proper. It would be like too tall, for instance, and it would just basically do this in the smallest of ripples. And I
And you
would
could
point
see the
out,
admins. The admins were all just like,
didn't
some
care.
of them were like, some of them were, I don't care. And then the other ones were like, we don't know what to do. We're getting overwhelmed.
I would call out how bad they were. I'm like, this is terrible. This is garbage. There's so many beautiful paintings of ships out there. You say you like pirates, yet you post inaccurate crap. It's like the pirate festivals. All right, they're Ren fairs, and not everyone's a historian. Some people,
Yeah.
they want to throw on a pirate outfit, they want to get drunk with their friends and sing some sea shanties. I get that. And a lot of people, to be fair, will say, yeah, I'm just having fun. I don't claim to be an expert. Fair enough. If you know you're not being a Captain Dunning Kruger and spouting out incorrect information, and I no issue with that at all. But then, when you've got really inaccurate crap, and at the same time, it's like if you like pirates that much, why not do some research and dress like real ones? If you're that much of a fan of the thing, then why don't you do the thing properly? That's my argument. But I largely keep it to myself.
I've gotten to the point now where I've been finding a lot of the things that they're sharing from, they're actually like, they're bot farms.
Yep.
They're not even like, there's some posts that I look at, it's like, that might work, but then it's like I click on who shared it originally. I'm like, that's not a real person. Next thing you know, are like, I can't even tell you how many Johnny Depps I've deleted. Literal Johnny Depp. The profile just shows up. It's like, oh my God.
You see that at Pirate Festival as well. There's 1,000,001 Jack Sparrow cosplayers. Some are good, most ain't. I have to be nicer because I'm actually hosting the next Whitby Pirate Festival. Not all of it. I'm hosting a bit of it. So I have to sort of be nice. But I will say that bad Jack Sparrow cosplayers, and I'm not aiming this at anyone in particular, I mean just generally, if I see a really bad, a little voice in my head goes, oh, look, there's another Captain Crap Sparrow. That's my term for them, crap sparrows.
If they're having fun and not taking it seriously,
I don't say anything. I'm saying this is his internal monologue. But, it's such an iconic character and very charismatic. And if they're doing it badly, it hurts a little bit. Like, they'll just stand there and then they'll sway around and they'll go, and then they'll walk off. And then they'll do it again, like, and it's like, what are you doing? React to stuff. Like, they just copy the random motions they've seen in the movie, like, out of context. And I'm like, ooh, that's bad. No, I would never go up to someone and I'm not a dick. But at the same time, I can have an opinion, and my opinion is like, why?
Actually, and to segue off the internet things, have you encountered the Captain Dunning-Krugers in real life?
No,
I sadly have.
I'm waiting for the
we
day.
A few years ago we did this event. I'm not going to name the site, not going to name the people who were doing it. I'll never forget it. We have this awesome display set up. People are coming over talking to us, and the site also had another group there, and they were pretty much. I started realizing that the people that were there, the tourists, they were looking at us like they would go visit them, and then they come over to us and they get really confused. And then the opposite would happen, and it's like, what is going on? So finally I went over and I noticed they were handing out pamphlets. It was literally pretty much, it was like those lists that you can find online and sometimes on YouTube of the
Oh,
did you know of this about pirates? And it's all false things. They literally had that as a pamphlet.
oh dear.
And it was like, wow, we're literally saying, well, this is not what pirates did. Pirates did this. And then they were going over to this group. Oh no, pirates did this. It's like, what?
What are you basing this on?
And it was the most surreal thing like I have ever had to deal with doing history, because it was like, why would you guys aren't here as reenactors? Like, don't be telling the public that this is what. If you want to tell stories, and like, fictional pirates are cool. I have no qualms with them. Like Long John Silver, heck yeah. But don't be.
Yeah, misinformation. I hate it. It's like that stupid brass monkey post that was doing the rounds. I saw that so many times because someone posted it. And actually, I'm friends with the person that I first saw it. And I said, actually, this is incorrect. Blah, 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 shot garlands. I'm not going to go into the brass monkey thing because it's stupid and you don't need to know about it. But anyway, it was basically saying they stored it in stupid triangles. So it didn't. And anyway, the person that I first spoke to is actually really cool. Nina Michelle. She was like, "Oh, I didn't know." I'm like, "Yeah, no." Anyway, so I presented like actual example stuff. So she took it down. Nina's awesome. By the
Oh
way.
yeah, yeah.
Lovely. Go give Nina a shout out. But then I saw it posted everywhere. It was in Pirates of the Seas. It was in all of the pirate groups I'm in. It was in Whitby Pirate Festival. It was in all the other. I'm just like, oh no. Random friends were posting it, and I just every time I saw it, disassembled it. Like, nope, they were stored in shot garlands. You stored it in a little triangle brass thing on the main deck. They're going to roll around and become a hazard.
We are okay. Well, we're way more than 30 seconds in, so I don't have to worry about us getting shut down for me saying this. My bitch eating crackers, which is a term I stole from my wife, it's when you see somebody eating crackers and you just hate them. They're not doing anything except eating crackers, and you just get mad at them. And that's what that means. Mine is the Daily Mail one that I don't even know where they got it from. I'm pretty sure they just made it up off the top of their head, of Anne Bonny and Mary Read supposedly flashing people before they killed them. I guarantee you've seen that pop up.
I've seen that, yeah.
And
I
I'll
heard
pop up
Mary Read
on.
did it once. That's what I heard. I've only heard it about Mary Read, not Anne Bonny, but obviously it makes sense that people have now applied that to Anne Bonny.
Well, I ended up finding the original source of it, and it's a 2017 article from the Daily Mail. And for some reason, it's just, I'm pretty sure the drawing itself's like early 20th century. It's just,
I've seen it.
you know how they were back in that time period,
Kind
pretty
of
much where
saggy.
they are now.
It was disappointing.
And they ended up, like, the story, it will make its rounds on actual serious history pages. And one of the most annoying things about being an American, if I say, hey, that's an incorrect story, yada, 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 well, what do you know? Well, I'm a historian. This is what well, you're from America. Awesome. Doesn't mean, like, I can't know things. Like, pretty much anytime I see a post about Anne Bonny and Mary Read, I brace myself. I take a deep breath before I even read it because
especially
guaranteed
today.
it's going to be something.
I mean, I generally don't look up. If I'm going to do research, I'll go to like proper sources. I haven't really looked into them. Basically, what I'm saying is I haven't looked them up recently since the sort of girl boss propaganda bullshit is being pushed really hard. But I can imagine the amount of crap that's been written about them since 2016. I dread to think. There's probably a story where they're lesbian lovers and
Oh,
they ruled the
that's
seas and kicked the shit out of all the redcoats and, settled down in a little cottage somewhere with Avery as their neighbor.
and the thing that a lot of people when they talk like this is again why I always say that later golden age pirates were like crackheads stealing catalytic converters. Rackham and Company, they were just robbing fishing boats. They
Yeah.
really like they weren't they there's always this they were going after Spanish galleons. No,
No, that was
they were
over.
robbing people's like, oh, they're fishing. Let's rob them.
Yeah, I mean, the slim pickings. I mean, the war of Spain was over. Treasure galleons, I mean, they either weren't as frequent or you couldn't rob them anymore. And they had, better escorts. So it was like, oh, that's not a thing anymore. It's like U-boats in World War One. You had the happy time, and then they got used to the tactics and started fighting back hard. It's like this isn't working anymore.
And
So
you
yeah,
mentioned the girl boss thing. Like one of the only people that is documented to have been attacked by Mary Read and Anne Bonny was a woman, just going about her business and got kidnapped by them. That's where we get a lot of our accounts from. She testified at their trial. Like they weren't heroes.
no. Oh,
That's the other one. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
people that think pirates are these like Robin Hood of the seas types. It's like no, they are criminals that killed people for money. That's
Sam,
it.
Sam Bellamy, I do give him a pass.
A little
I
bit,
will. I just a bit.
a little bit, but he still killed people for money.
Like even William Dampier. I can talk about William Dampier all night. But at one point in time, he had a I forget if she was a slave or if she was a servant. It does not matter because of how the story ends. She had a son. When she died, he promised to take care of her son. They went on this little adventure. He was like his apprentice, everything else to get back to England, and he sold him into slavery.
And you had Henry Morgan. They did a raid on Panama. He demanded a ransom to be paid from this village. They said no, and then when fighting broke out, he left with a group of men, leaving most of them behind and taking all the treasure with him.
Or
And
the time when, after he had become lieutenant governor, some of his old colleagues they came to visit. They were hanging out, having a few drinks, and he, oh yeah, by the way, you're arrested. He had them arrested, and they end up getting executed.
gotta love Morgan. And then, of course, since we're talking about, messed up things pirate did, your favorite story about Bartholomew Roberts, which is considered the single most evil act in the Golden Age piracy, hands down.
I will never forget. The museum has changed its ways, and I applaud them for that. So I will not repeat the name of the museum. If you go further back in the channel, you will find which museum. But they had posted this really feel good post for Black History Month. Now, talking about Sam Bellamy, yes, he had freed slaves as part of his crew. One of the survivors of the actual Whydah was a Mosquito Indian who did get sold back into slavery. But he was a full-on pirate. He was part of the crew. So yes, if you want to talk about Sam Bellamy, yeah, you can do that. That's a cool story.
Mm-hmm.
Sad story, more like it. Yeah. Apparently he did get executed eventually for escaping too many times, if I remember correctly. Man, that's sad. Man, it got worse. Anyway, So this museum decided to make a post about Black History Month, and they talked about how they made no exceptions, and we're talking about how pirates were liberators. And immediately, I think the whole pirate history community just jumped on them. And talking now, Bartholomew Roberts, he got angry that he could not take a ship. It was a slave ship in West Africa. So he burned it with people chained below deck. Bartholomew Roberts, who was, it like when people talk about, oh, they were praying for the devil. No, Bartholomew Roberts was like a very devout Christian. He didn't allow drinking on board, things like he had a lot of weird rules. No, you weren't allowed to get. I think it was you weren't allowed to get drunk, if I remember correctly. Anyway,
he drank tea.
Yeah, and no, he literally murdered people who like completely innocent people. I very rarely use the word innocent on this channel because most of the people in the 17th century sucked. No, these were innocent people. And I will never forget though, somebody commented when we were flipping out, somebody commented, well, they were good people. What do you mean they were good people? Well, I like to think they were. But that doesn't change what we're talking about actual history. This is a history thing. This isn't we're not talking about your favorite character from Black Sails or Treasure Planet or Treasure Island. We're not talking
or an anti-hero fun character like Jack Sparrow. It's like, no, they were nothing like that.
Or One Piece.
Black Sails, I will say, depicts pirates just how they were with each other, probably the most accurately out of anything.
And that, I will always say, that is mostly due to Benderson Little. Benderson Little did a really good job as a historical advisor. No, the costuming wasn't that great, but a lot of the fight scenes, a lot of there were little subtle things where there were so many throwaway scenes that it was good for like conversation and like establishing who people were. But if you actually listen to what they say, like with Hornigal, there was this whole Jacobite reference.
Yeah.
When you first meet Hornigal, they're talking about like basically Jamaica was trying to build a Jacobite fleet.
And yeah, they wanted to get back in the fight.
Man, how'd this conversation get to that?
Hey,
oh yeah,
sounds good.
Captain Dunning-Kruger.
Captain Dunning-Kruger. I mean, I had one recently on Pirates of the Sea. Someone, was it Pirates of the Sea? It was one of the groups anyway, and someone was asking for pirate movie recommendations, and someone said Black Sails was terrible. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. And then he said it was too much treachery and stuff, and I'm like, pirates betrayed each other all the time. And I gave him 3 examples: Henry Morgan betraying his own crew and stealing most of the loot.
Allegedly. Remember, he filed a lawsuit.
Allegedly. Stead Bonnet meeting Blackbeard. Blackbeard's like, this guy's an idiot who doesn't know what he's doing. He's like, come on board my ship as a guest. And I'll put one of my guys on yours to take care of it for you. So can I have my ship back? No. That was that. Then they go to, what was the island near North Carolina? Bath.
Inlet.
Yep. And then while they're in Bath trying to get a letter of marque, Blackbeard leaves, strips out the Revenge, which was Stead Bonnet's ship, and leaves because the Queen Anne's Revenge run aground. So Blackbeard took.
Now that might have been intentional.
Possibly.
There's a big debate on that one.
Possibly. So Stead Bonnet returns, finds his ship completely stripped, and some sailors marooned on the sandbar that Blackbeard didn't like. Backstabbing and treachery happened. The last one, I think, was Sam Bellamy, funnily enough. I'm not sure if this is true or not. I couldn't find any really.
Oh, where he double-crossed Jennings?
No, he took a ship and he wanted to give the ship back to the captain. No, and his crew were like, no, take it. And so he said to the captain, look, I don't really want to kill you and steal all your stuff. You're a fellow pirate. I'll give you the opportunity.
Oh, that was a merchant. Was it? Yeah,
Well,
that
no,
was a merchant.
he said to the guy, "Do you want to join my fleet?" And the guy was like, "No." So then he burnt the ship. But you know, treachery did happen. The
Now
crew was pissed off.
Jennings and Hornigold, they had their whole infamous thing with Bellamy. Bellamy's one I wish Black Sails would have had.
Yeah, I think Flint was. I mean, Flint was well a fanatic. But some of the stuff he did, like the slave rebellion that was going on in Black Sails, I like to think that was influenced by Bellamy because he would have been
They do
so.
mention they mention him at, I believe, at one point with Blackbeard. Bellamy gets referenced, and that's it. But it's like when the show starts, Bellamy was still alive. Like I wish they would have had him. That would
They
have
could
been.
have put him.
What was the Netflix pirate mockumentary?
That one, I think I've seen that. It was a while ago.
That's another one that I really like. I feel like it's done more harm for the actual history than, I mean, most of pirate fiction, because it's presenting itself as a documentary. You've got people like Ed Fox who've written like some excellent books that are 100% factual, but then they have it overlaid with all this random weird drama that has nothing to do with what actually happened. Like Anne Bonny.
Oh yeah. Didn't you say you could have a drinking game? Ahoy there.
Yeah, we tried it once where, well, first I tried it by myself, did not last. Then I tried it with some other people. And first it was going to be every single historical inaccuracy to include clothing. Then we decided to cancel out clothing. And we still went through a whole bottle of rum before, I think we were like 1.5 episodes in. It's just like, nope, we're going to die.
You might have to refine it and actually post the rules. I'll do that one. That would be a good one to do.
I don't want to rewatch it again. I've thought about doing a review for the channel, but that requires me to sit down and watch it again.
Hey, look, if you want company, we can get some rum. We'll do it together. It'll be good to do. Right, has anyone got any other questions about anything, really?
Pirates, the UK, the internet. Ask us about the internet. Nope. I think. Oh wait.
That's the one. That's the one.
Yes. Yep. That is. I'll tell you now. When it comes to historically accurate banter, I think Black Sails is better.
Black
I will
Sails.
like when it comes to the actual just banter, not the events, but just the back and forth conversations. Black Sails is better than Lost Pirate Kingdom. Oh, and that whole one more with Captain Dunning-Kruger. That whole ideal belief that pirates built a republic.
Oh man.
I forget who it was. I've said it a lot. It's another one I've said a lot. The closest we have to that was Mogadishu.
I think the closest we had to that is that each crew was run as like a company. It was very democratic. You did have a vote, and it did count, and everyone was treated as per the articles they signed, which is amazing.
Well, actually, here's a reference that you might get that like our normal American viewers probably won't. The Levelers and the Diggers.
I actually don't get that. I'm not gonna lie.
My gosh. So they were a movement right around the English Civil War period, which were basically calling for universal suffrage, equal rights, trying to get rid of the upper class. Like a lot of the things that they wrote about, yes, it had like a Christian framing to it, but it was very modern. And there's a certain I couple authors have suggested that like some of the pirate ideals and some of the naval ideals came from the levelers, where there was a certain democracy within the group itself.
What do you mean by loose nations? No, pirates never had any nations at all.
I mean,
Unless you mean free ports that let them trade, like Port Royal. Port Royal was built on the backs of pirates.
yeah, I mean, Buccaneers early on, a lot of them from Scotland.
Yeah.
Thank you, Oliver Cromwell.
Buccaneers, I mean, the whole pirate mindset was they wanted to get drunk as often as possible. So when they went out on the Accord raiding ships, they would hang out on the beach and they would smoke and barbecue meat on what is known as a boucan, which is a French term for like barbecue or smoker. And that's where you get the term buccaneer. Buccaneers became buccaneers.
Boucanier. Gotta get your French.
I really like barbecue food and rum. So, I get it. But yeah, if you mean loose nations, there were ports that made them welcome, like Tortuga, Nassau, obviously.
I do think like when you get into certain points of the pirate round, the early part of the pirate round, actually even with the flying gang, you did have some level of unification, and if your gang was on good terms with like Adam Baldridge and Madagascar, like you would have a certain level of infrastructure.
I mean, pirates generally didn't attack each other on sight. It did happen, but like on the whole, they would give each other a pass because otherwise the system wouldn't work. Going into a free port and there's a ship that attacks you and tried to try and like rob you, and you fought them off, but you've still got dead on board and cannonball damage, and here they come rocking up into port, you would go and burn them.
I forgot to ask Captain Mara about this last week when we were talking about Madagascar, but there was one of the pirates in Madagascar actually did pull what Charles Vane references in Black Sails, where the other group of pirates had left port and he went and just took their ship. He ran them down and brought the ship back. I'm trying to remember which pirate it was. I think it's actually one we mentioned last week, but I'm not sure.
I read a story about Jack Rackham. Apparently, their sloop was badly damaged and they were being chased by a Navy sloop. So they went into a bay, went ashore, and then when the Navy boarded that, so I guess they snuck ashore at night. I don't know how they did it. Maybe they swam. I can't remember the details, but I know they got ashore. The Navy went and boarded the messed up, sinking, badly damaged sloop, and they got around the Navy and stole their fresh one and left, which I think is my favorite story of the Golden Age piracy.
For some reason, I don't think that one's true.
Really? That's a shame.
I do know some. I do know they were going to rob a ship, figured out that they actually wanted to hang out with the guys, and then those poor guys ended up getting caught for piracy as well.
You reckon in the far future? I mean, possibly. Who knows? It
Can't
all depends
stop
on
the signal.
technology. It all depends on if a faction can get technology to be competitive. The reason pirates aren't a thing today, or why they actually sort of stopped being a thing in the 1800s, is the Navy's just got better and better and better and better, and you couldn't fight them anymore. They were too powerful, too strong, and it just wasn't viable.
Now it's interesting though. We have periodically, every few years, the conversation actually comes up with some of our congressmen about like we actually have rules against privateering in the United States, which is funny because we like that was our original Navy. We were privateers.
Yep.
But there's been talks every now and then about, because of some of the asymmetric warfare that's been going on, about actually bringing back privateering in the United States.
I mean, if you happen to have a destroyer with some nuclear missiles on it,
Well, a lot of what they're concerned about is there's like China does some of they'll do illegal fishing in different areas. And that, like, it wouldn't be going up against naval ships, it'd be going up against fishing boats.
so you mean I could get a
Like crack
speedboat?
them. Yeah.
So
I mean, you'd still have to have a port that's friendly to you because
yeah,
a lot of
I'm just
it's
thinking I might have a career path. I mean, I just need to get a boat and some swivel guns. I'll do it with old. I'm sorry, but what is a fishing boat going to do against a modern yacht with some 1 pound swivel guns on the rail? Just like this is.
Oh, and there's
loaded
also
with
the technically speaking, depending on your definition, some of the people who go up against whalers, they're entering into that little fuzzy gray area too.
The swivel gun will shoot indiscriminately, whaler and fishermen alike.
But yeah, space pirates.
Again,
If we do not end up nuking ourselves in the next 100 years, yeah, I think maybe one day, thousands of years from now, we might not even be like humans anymore. Yeah, it might happen. I mean, in the chat there, I made a little joke there. You can't stop the signal, which is from Firefly, which I'm realizing might have been the first pirate show that I really got into.
I can't remember my first. It was a mixture of different ones.
And that was Wild West and pirates, but in space. That's another show that we don't mention enough, and it actually has a certain level of accuracy when it comes to you've got a bunch of veterans from a war that's been over, and they have certain places that are safe, merchants that will double cross them, fences, like it's the same sort of.
I haven't watched that one. I need to watch it because I love my sci-fi. Pull up my phone real quick.
I feel bad that one got canceled. Had one season and then the movie. So Firefly and Serenity.
I need to turn the screen brightness down. No one's going to see it.
Well, I'm saying like a lot in the pirate community. I don't think I've seen anybody make a post about it recently. At least like now on Pirates of the Sea, or actually I don't think I've even mentioned it on the channel before.
This is how I make calls. It's great. Where's my dialer? Oh, hang on. Yeah, you get the idea. It's.
Oh man, that's okay. That's a little too loud there.
That's my phone.
Actually, on both now, this one's funny with me being like, I mean, my office behind me, my computer and my cell phone. It's all Cyberpunk 2077 interfaces. Oh man, I'm losing my voice.
My other ship, I have the cadaverous dog. The other one is USS Endurance, MCC 71825 Galaxy class. Phil in chat there is my first officer. I like to think they're in the same timeline because Star Trek was meant to be a realistic, depiction of the future. So I both characters are on the same timeline. Funnily enough, the Starfleet captain is named after Captain Black because he was a Navy captain, but they thought he continued to be a Navy captain. And when they unearthed, documents that, oh, hang on, your Navy captain ancestor was actually a pirate, the family are like, well, we're not changing the name back to Alcock because it's been Black for centuries now. So Captain Zander Black it is.
Interesting note, Henry Avery is in Doctor Who.
He is?
Yeah, he's the pirate that's in, oh my gosh, which Doctor was it? Either the 10th or the 11th. But he's the pirate.
I've got a guy that I can ask. One of the guys in our Discord server, really big Doctor Who fan. He knows. He'll know. He'll know. Shout out to Sovic. He's probably not going to watch this.
Okay, it was the 11th, though. Matt Smith.
I like Capaldi. He was my favorite.
I am stuck between David Tennant and Matt Smith.
Yeah, I like Capaldi because I don't know. He just brings some of that like, old man grumpiness from the early series. It's great. This is how he talks to people with the flashcards. He's attempting to be nice. Right, I'm going to hit the head real quick. I will not be long. So if anyone has any questions, have a think.
Actually, here we can just do a brief intermission real quick because I need to refill my coffee.
All right, we can race. See if we can refill your coffee before I get back.
All right.
3 to 1.
Oh, look, I won. Here's how confusing people would be. Huron Blackhearts, Red Corsairs. That sounds so familiar. You know, Frogman, though, just FYI, we probably could do that, and we'd probably get more likes and subscribers than if we did anything else.
And back.
The internet's weird.
So, fun fact.
40K, okay. I was just actually trying to explain to my son about the miniatures today. I'm not into that, but I'm aware.
Chairs on the stream for the next 3 hours. On the subject of hitting the head is so called because it was at the head, the front of the ship. Basically, on the old galleons, that sort of V bit where the bowsprit was, there'd be a grating there, and you would just pee there or just hang over the side. On the later ships, where all the fancy railings were at the front, the bowsprit, same place. But some had inside toilets that would then empty out into the ocean, but that's where it comes from. So we're generally at the front, that's the head of the ship. So hit the head, naval term.
See, at events, I'm always like, I'm in the mindset of in the field, so I revert to the army of I'm going to hit the latrine. Which I have no clue why we use the French.
I mean, lieutenant, the spelling of lieutenant is French. We pronounce it lieutenant, but it's spelled lieutenant.
Oh. Getting into our languages, that is we could probably do a whole stream just on that.
Yep. There's a lot of French words in English because they did conquer us a few times. Well, 1060. Actually, it was 1066, and after that, no French army conquered the UK ever again.
And then there was a whole, like in the late 1700s, there was a whole like transformation of the English language. It's funny because I speak a lot with an Appalachian twang, which is actually closer to 17th century English than what you're speaking.
here's an interesting thought. So if William the Conqueror was French and took his army over and conquered England and settled and interbred, doesn't that mean that every war with France from that point onwards is technically a civil war?
Yeah, I mean,
basically. So that fell over. Anyway.
And that's tea in that bottle, by the way, guys.
Yeah. I was going to try and act drunk, but my acting isn't that good. So.
Well, I mean, you just had the fall right there, so that worked.
Oh. It's not bad. It's a somewhat convincing rum prop.
I'm using my favorite Crew of the Fancy signature.
That is cool.
I need to get like a new merch maker.
I need to design some merch for if my channel does ever take off. So plans for the future. Let's see. As I said, I'm going to do some sites. I'm going to do a video on the Victory. I'm going to do probably a video on the Golden Hind. I'm going to do a pub crawl around. I'm going to look at. I know the prospect of Whitby. That's where we're going to end. It was called the Pelican in the 1700s, by the way, and it was named after a ship from Whitby. It wasn't just used to execute pirates. There's actually a set of stairs down the side of it that pirates and smugglers used to bring goods into London. So that's pretty cool. So it's for the pirates as well in a way. So I'm going to do a pirate pub crawl and film that. I want to do one where I go in as a pirate and I'm just, Captain Zander Black, and I'm a bit silly, and the bar staff will be like, all right, they've probably had it before. But then imagine this, a week later, when the East India Company come back in and I get led in shackles with a bunch of redcoats. They're like, give him his last drink. Imagine that point of view. You're working at the bar in the prospect of Whitby. Guy comes in as a pirate. All right, cool. Week later, he gets brought in by redcoats in cuffs. It's like...
And that's something for those watching. Like, when you were being either taken to the Tyburn Tree or to Wapping, if they liked you, people would be bringing you drinks.
That's true.
When reenacting, what would be the proper period drinkware to use? Here's some right now.
From where?
I don't know if you can see my bottle, boom.
Onion bottle. Please don't drop it. It's a beautiful bottle.
Nah, I won't. This is actually like a 1970s reproduction made in Germany. And this is a nice blue and white jug. Can you see? Oh, yeah, okay. Let me see if I get my pointing right. Right here, there's actually a coconut cup. Coconut cups have actually been found on the wreck of the Stirling Castle, which went down in the channel.
But that isn't too bad.
No, not at all. Not at all.
It's got... Oh, I tell you what I do have.
You know, Greenwich has the any of the Stirling Castle artifacts.
I'm not sure. I'll have to look. If there are, it'll be in that pirate exhibit that's coming up.
Stirling Castle, not only having coconut cups, also has these weird leather hats that if you had told me they were a pirate thing, I would have told you, no, we don't do steampunk here, because they look exactly like something you'd have in steampunk, but they are original to the late 17th century hats or early 18th century. And
little top hat type ones.
They have like these weird ties in the back of them. And they just look like something you'd have at a steampunk festival. They don't look like they're from the time period, but they are.
Interesting. I mean, it's funny what you find. I mean, you were talking with Captain Morrow about finding playing cards, and now we know that English sailors had sashes. I didn't know that. History's fun. You
I
go down
think of
these
how many
rabbit holes.
times I've like posted like, oh no, they didn't wear, and it's like, and most of your historical pirate pages and things, no, they didn't wear sashes, and now it's nope, English sailors. Technically speaking, at this moment, because of those playing cards, most of the images we have of English sailors from the time period have sashes.
Yep. So if you want to wear sashes and be period accurate, go ahead. On the subject of drinkware, this is a 1700s rum cup. It's made of pewter. This is an antique from the period. Now, what these were is if you went to a friend's house, anyone that smokes weed, often pass. So that's what you would do. You would pass to the left. You would pour yourself some rum in one of these, and you'd start drinking it, and you would just pass the bottle around and just keep topping up your little rum cup. That's what these were.
Oh, and I even forgotten this picture. And right there, I have my gourd canteen. There's also leather ones. I'm trying to figure out what else I have floating around here.
Essentially, if you're looking for a beginner sort of prop, glass bottles, it could be better. Hand blown glass with slight imperfections in it is even better. Onion bottles are good. Danny said about these bottles, they're kind of square shaped.
A case bottle.
Yeah.
Depending on your area, they usually have you can get them in gin. There's gin usually in them. If you can get the green or a darker glass would work.
All right. Good night, mate. Thanks for coming in.
Good night. I had to do that this morning. Cleaning the litter.
I don't have any cats. If I did get a pet, I'd probably get a cat because it's just low maintenance. Get one of those auto feeders and one of the auto water dispensers. Buy a cat. I'm off for a weekend to get drunk with a crew.
One of our crew members just got a pig.
A pig?
He's like, I saw him taking all these pictures of the piglet, and I commented, friend or food? Friend. It's like, okay.
I mean, if you want to,
I'm very intrigued.
Just bring it to camp and just kind of keep it,
Well, that's honestly what I'd love to start. If I was not in an apartment, I'd probably do that.
Just bring a pig to the East India Company camp. But what's that? It's our pet and also dinner on the last day.
People don't realize, a lot of the ships, East India Company going over to India, would have had live animals on board.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Victory had a manger on board. Some frigates did as well. I mean, goats were quite common for the cheese, the milk, but then you can also eat them.
Yeah. Yep.
Only the really small ships like sloops, cutters, which incidentally, pirate ships weren't big galleons. I mean, the Fancy was exceptional. Queen Anne's Revenge was exceptional. And Bartholomew Roberts had more ships than he had hot dinners. But other than that, small ships, sloops, cutters.
He had more big ships than he had drinks.
That is true. Schooners, what else? Barks, things like that.
You see, I need to get a ship model. I do have a friend sent me this, and it's awesome. It's not actually. Nice. There we go. I actually have a nice printout, so whenever I do, when I finally start doing events again, I can finally, when I'm talking to people about how ships were set up, I can be like, oh, here you go.
I'll tell you what, I'll write my pirate book about Captain Zander Black. You can be a historical advisor on it. I'll pay you royalties. I'll I'll make it a bestseller, get a movie deal, and make enough money to just buy a frigate and just live on that.
See, what is interesting is over here, up in New England, it's very easy to get a hold of old whaling boats, like the longboats. Which are not that far off from the longboats of the time period.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And you can get them very cheap. But here's one thing I have learned from people who buy boats, there's no such thing as a free boat.
Yep. Well, it can be, but you'll be charged with piracy.
Like, I'm hoping in the next few years to get to actually see if one of the sites wants to actually like host us having a boat there that we can work on and show people how boats were constructed in the time period by basically reconstructing.
I get you. Yeah, if you modified it, you could make it look earlier.
Yeah.
I am considering writing a book, though. Who would be interested in a sort of historical fiction? Think like Sharp, Hornblower. There's no historical fiction for apart from Treasure Island.
Bennerson Little.
Yeah?
Fortune's Whelp. Fortune's Whelp, actually, I'd have to say, is one of the best fiction books I've read. It's just because, I mean, it's Bennerson Little. I feel like his brain just exists in the time period. And Frogman, there is an audio version of Fortune's Whelp.
Nice.
But yeah, if you wrote something and I mean, you're there, you're in London, you know what it looks like.
Yeah,
You
true.
have easy access to some of the places that, or at least you can more easily find maps and know what you're looking for than I would.
Mm-hmm.
So you technically have a lot more leeway.
That's true, but not all of it would be. A lot of it would be set in the Caribbean. So does that mean I get to go on a cruise? Just wearing this, just drunk on a cruise ship. What are you doing? Research. See that island over there? I'm committing it to memory. Shh. Right, what was you saying? I would do that. Yeah.
It's like, it's really disappointing over here sometimes. Like, talking about London, I mean, you guys got things going back to Rome at least. And, oh, you're welcome.
You're welcome, mate.
Over here with like Philadelphia was founded 1680s, actually technically before there was like a Swedish settlement. And its history does not begin until like the American Revolution. There's 100 years of history before, more than 100 years of history before it. There's very little marked out, even though many of the main streets in Philadelphia are the original main streets. And that's like one of the things I find so interesting about like one of the debates we always get into with a lot of Americans. It's like trying, oh, we had Atlantis here. No, we didn't. There is actually old stuff though, if you know where to look. It's just not marketed right.
London's a weird city. So you have this almost 1,000-year-old castle and a bunch of skyscrapers, and you've got Tower Bridge that was built by the Victorians. Some parts of London, there's ruins. There's like ruined walls that were built by the Romans that are still topside, just kind of there on the street. You can just walk up and touch them if you really want to.
I mean, some of your main highways in England and UK in general are Roman.
That is true, especially in the countryside. My granddad said that if you're in the countryside and you're on like a really straight country lane, it just keeps going and going and going, and eventually reaches a town. Probably a Roman road.
Well, that's actually like, I forget what page it was. I actually think it was the Fraudulent Archaeology page. We were talking to one day, and somebody's like, "Well, America, there's no really ancient history in America." And it's like, when I was doing my research for the Stones in the River video, I found out that some of the roads that I've traveled on most of my life, they're actually Native American trails that potentially date back possibly before Rome.
That's cool. I love things like that, and just thinking like, who walks on these? What did they do? How did it shape the world around them? Things like that. It's fun.
You see, that's like, I don't know how you feel about this, but for me, that's like one of the things with pirates, because it's like, you can get people interested in, oh, pirates, yay! But then you can use it to like a bait and switch where they actually learn something more.
Mm. So that's what I'm trying to do on my channel. Is I'm going to be this sort of. I don't want to be Jack Sparrow, because if I did, I would just be Jack Sparrow. I would get the dreadlock wig and I would, grow the beard out, and I've got the cheekbones for it. But I don't want to do that. So, but I do want to
You'd
be
end up
fun.
in a lawsuit with Amanda Heard.
Exactly. Yeah. No thanks. So I want to be this fun kind of drunk pirate character, because people like that. I've been doing that a while. I used to host a radio show on this website, and I called it Rock the Ship, and it was a pirate radio, so I wasn't licensed, and I was playing rock. It was great. So I was like, right, if I'm doing pirate radio, I'm going to just dress as a pirate. But where it was a little crappy vlog website, no one cared about it, so it wasn't going to get flagged. And if it did, I would have got a cease and desist first. I would have just stopped. But anyway, so people like the silly drunk character, but I'm trying to make it a bit more historically accurate. So now I'm fun, I'm engaging, and I can teach people stuff, such as they didn't walk the plank. Why would you keep a plank on board that big? Space is at a premium on a ship. If you want someone over the side, you just throw them off. You just pick them up, throw them. But I mean, pirates generally, they would just, hang you from a yardarm or just throw you over the side or just stab you right there on the deck, because they don't care unless they're creative. Like, again, no one knows if he actually did it or not, but there's a lot of stories attributed to like Ned Lowe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I feel like a lot of them were just taken from the Buccaneer stories.
Probably. But, stereotypes and legends do come from somewhere. So some bits were probably true. Other bits were probably embellished and added.
One final segue, because I finally got back to one of the things I want to talk about with the East India Company.
Oh, yeah.
So you were trying to get people interested in more history. Like, the East India Company is one of the easiest ways to teach people about economics and how stock markets work and why we have certain laws.
That would be good.
It's like the East India Company controlled the news coming from India. So if the news was one of our ships got taken by pirates, the people in the offices would quickly sell off their stocks before they let the news break.
I heard that's how the Rothschilds, or the Rockefellers, one of them got quite a lot of power by doing that. Fake news. I think they falsely reported Trafalgar as well.
Yes. They
were like, yeah, we lost. Stock market crashed, bought loads of cheap stock. Real news came in on HMS Pickle. Oh no, we won. But Nelson's dead. And then the stock market went all crazy and eventually recovered. And yeah.
As one of, like, when people ask, well, why do we have regulations? Oh, right, this way. There you are.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to working with them. I've made a separate character from Zander Black, Private Edward Rose. Yep. Although I did use that name as my cover. Whitby Pirate Festival is kind of like its own timeline. That's the only place that those characters are ever going to cross. Other than that, if I'm doing proper reenactment with the EIC, I will be Private Edward Rose, and Captain Black doesn't exist. Unless I'm being Captain Black and they want me to be Captain Black because, I'm their antagonist and it's fun. I need to record a load of videos to promote their stuff. Like, right, I'm Captain Black. I've broken into an East India Company safe house, and this is their movements, and then just like list all the events and things.
All right, guys. Do you have any more questions?
While they're thinking of questions, since I'm on the subject, and since I can't find any pirate reenactment, I'm going to make my own group. I thought of a really good name for it, Black's Privateers, and it's going to be a pirate Golden Age reenactment group, and I'm going to attach it to the EIC. So if they need pirates to fight, there we are. We'll probably do our own separate events as well, but I want to work with them because that was my introduction into reenactment. I mean, this is costumey, really. It's all right. It's better than a lot of them, you can nitpick it. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
currently saving up for period accurate 1720s sort of era stuff, and I'm going to go from there. And I'm going to get all my kit on point, and then I'm going to start doing events with the EIC. I'm going to get a red coat kit, I'm going to get a 1740s kit, and an 1800s kit, and then I'm going to develop my own pirate reenactment group, which is basically going to be attached to the EIC. The full title, being long-winded, will be Black's Privateers in association with the East India Company Living History and Reenactment Society.
I think we're actually done. I think people have finally.
Yep, that'll be a good place to end it. And also,
when's your next event?
Next event, I have it saved. Give me just a second. It's in downloads somewhere. You know what? I could put it up.
Yeah, put it up. Put it up.
I'll do that.
It actually amazes me how many times we have people. Oh my gosh. No, Windows, we are not restarting right now. What the heck? Why? Why would you do that to me? Yeah, we will. Yeah, we'll schedule restart tomorrow at 3 a.m. Yes. Bye. There we go.
Yep. So Pirates and Redcoats, it's an Easter event, and it's the 12th and 13th of April. Captain Cook's Birthplace Museum. There's going to be, an Easter egg hunt. There's going to be Pirates and Redcoats, and the kids can pick a side. And there's going to be like little interactions, like the pirates are going to try and steal the treasure. The Redcoats are guarding it. There's going to be little fights and things going on, as well as the kids' musket drill. I'm not sure if they're camping at that one. They might be. I don't think they are. Let me check. But they're going to be there and doing Pirates vs. Redcoats, which is going to be a fun one. Yep, no camping, just day trips.
Okay.
So there you go. But they do camping events. Oh, if you're interested in joining the EIC but can't afford, it's so much money, they have spare kit. They'll throw spare kit at you. My red coat, I borrowed that. It was way too big for me, but I liked that. It's like, oh, I've joined up. Right, here's coat.
It works with you, like it does.
It does. So we're going to leave it, but there you go. Just come and join in. Anyone can join. Doesn't matter who you are, what background you have, what race you are. Please come along, and we'd love to have you.
And EIC, when I said about they had regional troops, they had literally everybody.
They did.
All right. Well, we'll actually leave that on so that when we close off, it's still there.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on tonight. Thank you, everybody who tuned in.
It's been a pleasure. So, Danny, when I first started looking into history and whatnot, I'm like, right, I want to actually get into this properly now. One of the first YouTube channels I found. So when I encountered him on Pirates of the Seas and we started chatting, I'm like, that guy. A little bit. I did fanboy a little bit. I'll admit to that.
I try to be the sort of person that, if you've got a question, come to me. I am not going to put you down. Now, if you keep asking me a dumb question actually, Frogman asked me a lot of questions, and I have yet to get to that point. So there you go.
I mean, that's what it's about. Historians like talking about history, and we.
Oh my God,
that's
we
what
love
it's about.
geeking
Discussing
out.
things, learning together, and if you do reenactment, you have fun together while you do it. You can make me your pet project. You can check in every so often. It's like, right, he's updated his kit. He's drinking slightly less. He's learned this. And he's dead from alcohol poisoning. But you can just document the whole thing.
The only time historians get annoyed is if you're Captain Dunning-Kruger. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep. All right, then.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Fair winds, everyone.
Have an awesome night and morning for you.
Yeah.
Take care.
Take care.